Hello and welcome to the Ninja Path. My name is Larry Kendall. I'm going to be your guide for this Ninja lesson. And our lesson today is on what we call moments of truth with sellers. You know, Jan Carlson, who is president of Scandinavian Airlines, coined a phrase called moments of truth. And a moment of truth is when your customer touches your process. So, for example, when somebody drives by and sees your yard sign, is it fresh and clean or is it rusted and hanging? That's a moment of truth. When they call into your office or they go on your website, that's a moment of truth. And what we've found is if you want to create what we call a wow level of service, you need to manage those moments of truth. Our goal at Ninja is to provide what we call fabled service, a service that is so wow that people talk about it and it leads to referrals. An example is Moore Zucker. She's a ninja in Denver, Colorado. And Moore tells the story when she was brand new in the business, her first listing appointment was for a $2.4 million home. Can you imagine being a rookie and your first listing appointment is on a $2.4 million home? Moore got there and she had thought this through and she had organized her moments of truth. And when she sat down, one of the things she said to the seller, she says, keeping a home of this size ready to show can really be a lot of work. And I know both of you have careers, you have children. So one of the services that I provide when I list a home is I provide a housekeeper. So I'm going to have somebody come in. If you choose me, I'll have somebody come in and clean your home, and they'll come back every week to take care of it. And if we can give them enough notice, they'll come over and touch up things right before showings. That seller said she had us at hello. That made a difference. That was a wow for them. And Moore had sat down and organized her moments of truth, and that was one of them. I had the opportunity to teach with Debbie Meyer. She has a company called The End Result. Debbie's background is on delivering wow levels of service in the hospitality industry. And she made a comment. She says, you cannot build a wow experience until you first have a process. So that's the first step. And the first step in that process is really building these, what we call moments of truth. How was the process that touched the buyer? Was it on purpose or was it on accident? How about that same process for the seller? Was it on purpose or did it feel like it was on accident? You see, consistency is the key to wow and it's the key to referrals. And so having a process that you can deliver that service on a consistent basis is the key. And what we'd recommend that you do is document the moments of truth, those times when your process touches your customer, and that will help you deliver that service. Another example is Chris Doyle. Chris is a ninja in Fort Collins, Colorado. I'm fortunate enough to work with Chris. And I watch Chris in action on his moments of truth with sellers. So when he receives a call from a seller about listing their home, he goes through his pre-listing interview. At the end of the interview, and he makes his appointment, he hangs up the phone and he picks the phone back up. His first call is to the florist. And he has flowers delivered to that prospective seller with a note that says, thank you so much for the opportunity to serve you. My goal is to exceed your expectations. When Chris arrives at their home, the flowers are sitting on the table. It sets the stage. He handled or managed that moments of truth. He then proceeds to go through his process, how his stager is going to come over and help them prepare the home for sale, how his photographer will come, and what this process is for that. He also coaches his photographer, his stager, his entire team, the person that puts the sign up, on how to manage that relationship with that seller so that it's a wow experience. Chris told me, he says, Larry, I'm convinced clients are referring my process as much as they're referring me. He said, I overheard a couple of my clients at a party. They were talking to each other, and one said to the other he'd sold his house a year before, and the other one just had put his house on the market. And the one who'd sold a year before said, hey, did the flowers arrive? Yeah. Did Julie, the stager, show up? Yeah. Did Chris give you the $50 gift card to Home Depot to help with preparation of the house for sale? Yeah. So they were comparing notes and they were finding that they both had experienced the very same process. That kind of consistency is what leads to referrals. So what we're going to recommend that you do is document your moments of truth. We've provided you with a template for that in your handouts, and to kind of ask you some questions to help you go through and start that process. For example, when the seller calls you, what's the first words out of your mouth? What do you do first? What's the first step in your process? It should be your pre-listing interview. Once you hang up the phone from that pre-listing interview, what do you do next? In Chris's case, he has flowers delivered. When you show up for the appointment, how do you show up? What do you look like? What do you say? What happens after that appointment and during the appointment? And then are you coaching your vendor team, your stager, your photographer, your sign guy on how to behave and what they should do when they interact with your seller? And then, of course, you go through the entire process. We've provided you with that template. And then the last question is, what happens after the closing? So that you not only build that relationship, but maintain that relationship. Two things will happen if you document your moments of truth. Number one, you'll deliver a wow level of service. And number two, you'll generate referrals. We know this system works. TSW, if you follow the system works for you. Thanks for joining us.